All right, I'm here with Mike today, and he's doing his, what year Ranger is this?
This is 2011,
2011 Ford Ranger.
the last year they built.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's why I went for it, because I thought I'd have the most newer components.
Oh,
But I didn't know it was going to be a pool truck, which means the frame was pretty much rusted out.
yeah, he's done a lot of restoration on this. And look at that gigantic bolt down there. So we're going with 48 cells, 48 304 amp hour cells, and we're doing the Hyper 9 motor. It's got a manual transmission, and right now we're talking about the batteries. Now,
Battery management system.
yeah, now there is a lot of different battery management systems that we've been talking about over time. And they range anywhere, the price is all over the place, and how they work is all over the place too. In the beginning, we had, the very first ones was a little module that fit over top of each battery. It was a little circuit board. It had a light. I don't know, have you seen those?
No.
I should bring one out and show it off. But it went across there. If the battery went low or high, it would open up a little Christmas tree type series signal, which would signal back to an alarm and what would turn off the BMS. You couldn't see the voltages. You couldn't, all you would see, it did have one neat feature, and
So it's
that,
a little light diode?
yeah, a little LED diode that would blink, and when the batteries would get very full, they would blink fast. And then it would go into a mode where it would shuttle the electricity across. It had two resistors, so once it got up to whatever the voltage you picked, well, like these batteries would have been 3.6, it would start passing that electricity across. It'd pass a half amp, shuttle it across. So as they charged up, the lights would start blinking faster. You knew they were shuttling when they were blinking fast. And then at some point it would turn off the charger when it couldn't, shuttle the current past that. But in general, your charger was set lower than what all the batteries being charged up to 3.65, whatever that voltage would be, we usually figure 3.6 multiplied by the number of batteries. And that way you had that little bit of threshold and safety threshold there.
All right, so I got a question about that. So you say charge it up. How do you charge if you got one battery low, how do you charge that battery up without charging the others?
Yeah, you have to manually, well, two things. One, you got to manually go there and put a power supply on it. The other thing is this new BMS that we have now actually takes from the highest cell and pumps it into the lowest cell, which when this came out, this was the dream come true. Wow, I don't have to do anything at all. It'll do it itself. It searches out, it looks at all the batteries, picks out the highest battery, charges up a little capacitor that it's got in the BMS, and then looks and finds the lowest battery and discharges that capacitor back into that battery. So it shuttles from the highest to the lowest.
So these skinny wires do that.
Yeah. And this BMS
burning out.
But it does a half an amp is what it does. And the interesting thing with all this is not such an easy process, because normally when there's no current flowing on any of these wires, there is, you can take a voltage reading and get a correct reading. But if you're draining one or charging one, you're going to get a voltage drop on these thin wires. So what the BMS does is it takes the readings and then it stops reading them and shuttles that electricity into those batteries, and then it takes a reading again.
Shuttles it into the battery or shuttles it into the capacitor and then pushes it out the other end?
Yep, and then back out to the low battery.
Is that that's a two-step process?
Yeah. Yep.
Charging the capacitor,
yeah.
Stop, discharge the capacitor, read.
Yep. and yeah, what a wonderful system, you think. But the interesting thing with all this stuff is everything has a the good news, everything has a problem. The good news is that these batteries are so similar all the way around that we don't have big problems. The bad news is that if you've abused them and they're off a little bit, I'll give you an example. At the end of the charge and the end of the discharge, that's where we see the differences in voltage big time. And that's where the wear comes in on the battery. At the very low end and the very high end is where it gets the most. So if you took one of these batteries and you overcharged him quite a bit, you'd shorten his life. The more you overcharge him, the shorter his life gets, to the point of, well, now he's dead altogether. Same thing with discharging. The more you discharge him, the harder it is on him. So now we take our battery pack, where all these batteries are not perfectly the same, which they are incredibly the same, but we'll say, just for talking, that they aren't. When you drain them down, we have the one battery that's got the smallest capacity. His voltage is going to go low first. So he's going to be in the danger zone, the zone that's putting stress on him, first. Now, because he's smaller, you charge them all up. He gets charged up first because you're putting the same amount of power in, the same amount of gallons, we could say, or amp hours. Now he ends up getting charged up first. He ends up having current removed from him because the battery management system says, oh, you're all the way up here at this high voltage. I have to take some from you and put him into somebody else. Yeah. So now the rest of the guys catch up while this is happening. He has less capacity because he was drained out as he was coming up. So he might have originally had 99 amp hours where everybody else had 100, but because of this difference, and this seems like a really bad problem. The good news is that these things are so close together that they don't seem to change at all. We don't have this problem until somebody abuses them, and then once you're in the abused state, So, and I run into this because I mismatch batteries all the time, and
what you're saying is they're designed so well that they're basically clones of each other.
Yeah, and
the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
Is so good now.
But that said, once they get abused, that's where these little imperfections start to pop up, and we start to see, and then that just this is what the batteries that come out of Tesla cars and stuff, where they say, oh, they're no good, and we get them, and oh, look at this, it's just one cell. I've got two modules, two whole battery banks from Tesla cars that we got because they had one cell that wasn't reading. I individually charged that cell up, and I'm using them now. So, because this is the other problem that we have. We might have one battery that self-drains just a little bit more than the others. Yeah, but any of them, it's just over time, even though they all start out being so incredibly close.
So I have a related question. I have a lot of battery-powered tools, and so I have like a dead Milwaukee battery or something. What it sounds like you're saying is in that battery, there's only one bad cell. Usually, yeah. So if I cut it open and took it apart, I could have mostly good cells and use them for some. And you might even be able to just individually charge up that one cell, and it come back. It will might not come back to be as good as it was, but it'll come back to be usable again. But then once you get that at a round tire, it's always going to, that one will fall down again. But surprisingly, how well that does. The tools are a good example of the worst case scenario,
because first of all, you're running that thing. If it was a car, you'd be running it at 300 miles an hour. You're going to drain that drill down. If you just hammer on that drill and don't let up, 10 minutes, you're going to have it empty.
Well, the bad batteries I have is because I didn't use something for 6 months and it ran down.
Yeah, were these NiCads though?
No,
You said
no,
Milwaukee.
no.
They're the lithium.
They're lithium, and
Yeah.
then I didn't. One was a chainsaw, Milwaukee chainsaw. So I have like a $120 battery that's dead.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you should open them up, probe them out with the meter. The other problem with all this that we have is that some of the times, and this is the argument against a battery management system. Some of the times the battery management system goes bad, and it will kill one cell or the other. For some reason, it's stuck on, and it drains them down. And that cell keeps getting drained down all the time. Probably what happened with you is you've got a cell that is leaking just a little bit, leaking current, and so you didn't use it for 6 months, and then that one cell fell down, and now the management system says we're not charging because the cell is below what our safety level says. We're learning about all this stuff, but we learn just by playing around. And the big thing is we don't want any fires. That's the biggest, and this is the argument that most people that say, I don't want a battery management system, they say that, because I've seen the problems that there are, and I don't want to hassle with all these wires and everything else. And this is fine right up till you have that, event happen.
But these are lithium iron phosphate batteries, so they cannot burn because of the chemistry.
Yeah, well, they can, but they not so. Almost anything can burn.
Well,
if
I've
you work
seen
at
pictures of people shooting them or
Yeah,
putting them in
yeah, no,
flames,
they
putting them in a fire, putting a torch on them.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's different than you see the other problem with the batteries, and this is you got a lot of energy in there.
Right.
You got that energy in there. That energy's got to come out and be dissipated. So, and that's going to be in heat. So, if it's a fully charged battery and you short it out, it's going to be a lot different event than an empty battery that's shorted out.
So, yeah, okay, I see. So I got a piece of wood here. So if this energy comes out, it could heat up this piece of wood, and the wood could burn, but the battery itself won't burn.
Right. Well, it's plastic though. You get
Well, okay.
Yeah.
What's in it?
I'm
Steel
when
container.
when
but,
I'm
the
when I'm
plastic
saying that they're compared to the other type, the lithium polymer, these are probably 50 times less likely to catch on fire. A very big difference. But their negatives are they don't have that instantaneous power. Like your drill, you couldn't have these batteries in your drill unless you had enough that you could run the drill for an hour, putting all that energy into it. So you'd have to have a much bigger battery, which is what you got here. You got big cells. You're not going to be draining these guys down more than 2 hours worth of drain time. You'll probably be able to drive 2 hours full speed, which is a pretty, compared to the drill.
Right.
And what's worse is those hand drill. Like, what were you talking about? A saw?
a little mini chainsaw.
Yeah. That's really you. If you think how long could you run that saw?
No, not long enough.
Well,
20 minutes.
You think you could be cutting a tree 20 minutes with that load on
Well,
it?
I don't know.
Probably not even. Yeah. So
Milwaukee had a design flaw, so I couldn't tighten the blade anymore. It just spun around.
Yeah, but you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the load that the thing is experiencing at the given time. Same thing with the power tools. You drill, and then you stop, and you drill and you stop, and that's all these things that we're doing are pluses and minuses on what we need, and like what we were talking about before about. We got to balance everything out with money and size and convenience, and we want a drill battery that's small. We don't want to have 4 of these batteries in our 5.
You gotta be able to lift it up
Yeah,
with your forearm.
yeah. So the things that, the other thing we were talking about is the the whole need for the battery management system, and the argument that goes on with people that say, no, I'll just keep track of my own batteries and I'll watch them, which is a lot of work, run around with a meter every once in a while, compared to just, you'll be able to open your telephone and look at every cell on here once we get this all together. There we go. All right, I'm going to take a quick shot of your front, because people are going to want to know and see this project here. So here's the transmission. We got our adapter. This is an old adapter plate that we're going to try to fit this, or we might just come up with a whole total new adapter plate. We're going to use a Lovejoy coupler, which we got right over here. This is one from another project, but it shows you what they look like. That's our Lovejoy. That's connecting our motor to the transmission. And here is the Hyper 9 controller. Hyper 9 controller. And there's the Hyper 9 motor right over there. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about what made you think about all this stuff. You got solar panels, right?
Yeah.
You think that led
4
to
years
this?
ago during COVID.
Yeah.
So I learned a little about solar panel, because there was 4 guys working the first day. Then the next day there were 3, and then there was 2. So when it was down to 1, it was just me and him, because the other 3 caught COVID. So I got a little hands-on on helping install 14 panels. They had most of the panels on, but running some of the wires down to the inverter.
Now your inverter doesn't have batteries.
No, but I bought an inverter that would take batteries, a SolarEdge, called a StoreEdge, because you were able to have batteries. But now I find out I need like 400 volts. And I think I'm looking at 48 volt kind of seems to be the pattern now, and so plus it's kind of proprietarial. So the communication with the battery is problem that I might get. I'm looking at Echo-worthy right now. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I think I'm going to need a new, instead of a hybrid inverter, I just want an off-grid inverter, I think. Still working all that out.
We got to get to work. Here comes the boss.